Welcome to day 25 of the federal election campaign, and it's debate day! Sorry, I got a little excited. Just a reminder, I'm going to be live on Twitch for both debates, so come and hang out. It's a great way to watch it with your fellow nerds. Now, it's been a little bit of a slower day in the sense that there haven't been any announcements or press conferences except from the Green Party, because they found out this morning they are not going to be on the debate stage tonight or tomorrow. I am going to explain what is going on with the Green Party, who was initially accepted to participate in the debates and now has been pulled, in just a second. But first, this is not the only last-second development that has impacted tonight's debate. The debate timing was also changed for a hockey game. Do we really have to be such a stereotype? But there was genuine concern that so many people would want to watch the Montreal Canadiens game tonight that they would miss the leadership debate. So in order to not have to choose between hockey and democracy, they changed the debate time. So it's now starting 2 hours earlier at 6 p.m. Eastern time instead of 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you had my Twitch stream penciled in, make sure you update your timing. Anyways, what the hell just happened with the Green Party? Because let me tell you, they are not happy.
This decision from the Debates Commission today does not protect democracy. It protects those who've already had their turn. It protects the ones who pave over the truth, who bulldoze through public interest and leave the rest of us to pick up the pieces. But here's what they forget. When they bulldoze, when they pave, green always grows, and it will keep on growing.
Yeah. They're very unhappy. But there was actually kind of a good reason, if we're going by the rules period, for them to have been excluded. See, in order for the Leaders Debate Commission to accept parties' application to participate in the official federal leaders' debates, they have to meet 2 of the following 3 criteria. On the day the election is called, you have to have at least one MP who is sitting in the House of Commons who was elected as a member of your party. The second criteria is 28 days before the actual election day, you have to be sitting at least 4% support in the polls. And it's not just in one poll, they average out the leading national public opinion polling and use that figure. The third criteria is 28 days before the actual election day, the party has to have endorsed candidates in at least 90% of federal ridings. So the Greens don't have 4% support, but that's okay because you only have to have 2 of 3. And they do have 2 sitting elected Green MPs, so they do meet that first criteria. But then this is where things get sticky, is the third criteria. According to the commission, the Green Party did initially submit a list of 343 names in March. But when the actual deadline hit for their nominations to have to be locked in with Elections Canada, they only had 232 of them. That's below the 90% threshold. So the Green Party technically now only meets 1 of the 3 criteria. But the Greens are taking issue with that interpretation because they say that the rules as written say that they only have to have endorsed candidates 28 days before. So the later number of formally nominated, with Elections Canada candidates, don't matter. But an initial factor in the commission's decision, apparently, because you'd think that they would have dropped them as soon as the nomination deadline hit if that was the only issue, was something that Green Party co-leader Jonathan Pedno said to CBC on Tuesday. He said the party had pulled about 15 candidates out of the race in a, quote, strategic decision not to run them in ridings where the Conservatives will likely win. So my reading of this comment on the face of it is that they didn't want to split the vote in situations where that could contribute to a Conservative win. And the commission did not like that. Now, Elizabeth May, the other co-leader, came out today and said that this was just a misunderstanding.
We never had any decision, nor did we strategically remove candidates from any seat. So, given that it was a misunderstanding, we hope the Debates Commission will reconsider, because they themselves said we met all of the criteria.
The Greens also accused the Conservatives and the Bloc of coordinating this effort to get them booted from the debates. Meanwhile, the Liberals say the Greens should have been included, and the NDP is backing the Commission's decision to boot them. I'm filming this an hour and 19 minutes before the debate starts, so at this point it doesn't look like they're going to end up on the debate stage tonight. And they're not going to challenge the decision in court because they say there's not enough time. But this isn't even the only kind of controversial decision that the Commission has made to today. See, most news outlets are limited to just sending one reporter to the post-debate scrums at the leadership debate. I say most because it looks like Rebel News is getting to send 5. See, Rebel News, which a court recently ruled wasn't eligible for journalism tax credits because they aren't news, tried to send 16 people to the debates. That means that they would totally drown out any real journalist who's there, who's trying to ask actual questions, because Rebel usually just asks about themselves and their own persecution. At least that's what I've seen. Anyways, in classic Rebel News fashion, they were threatening to sue the Leaders Debate Commission because they weren't gonna let them send 16 times their own people than newsrooms are allowed to have there. Give me my special treatment or I'm gonna financially devastate you. But because they kicked and screamed and threatened to sue, Rebel News has succeeded and is getting to send 5 of its personalities to the debates when actual newsrooms are only getting to send 1 person. So that's awesome. I'm super excited to watch them ask questions about themselves again and again and again and again and again. Meanwhile, some other stuff that's hanging over the election campaign and Canadian politics in general that could come up in the debate tonight, but also matters regardless. When CBC's Katie Simpson asked the White House in a press briefing if Trump still wants Canada as the 51st state, the White House press secretary confirmed that Trump has not changed his position.
Ever since the election campaign started, he stopped talking about Canada becoming the 51st state, at least publicly. I'm wondering if that's on purpose and why.
I would reject the president's position on Canada has shifted. The president still maintains his position on Canada. The United States has been subsidizing Canada's national defense, and he believes that Canadians would benefit greatly from becoming the 51st state of the United States of America.
So that's reassuring. And Katie, why'd you have to remind them? Maybe they'd forget about us. There's also an interesting story that I wanted to mention that's brewing within the Conservatives out west in BC. Ed Fast, who is a former Conservative MP and former Conservative cabinet minister, so he's a pretty high-profile guy. He's not seeking re-election, but the guy that is running as his replacement wasn't the guy who Ed Fast or a lot of people locally wanted to be the candidate. In fact, Fast is alleging that party insiders conspired to manipulate the process to ensure their preferred candidate won the nomination. And he also said this is happening in other ridings across the country as well. And the candidate who didn't get the Conservative nomination, who Fast feels was screwed over in this process, is now running as an independent, and Fast endorsed him. In fact, the independent candidate, Mike De Jong, is really popular, so this could be a really interesting race to watch. Meanwhile, the Conservative candidate in the riding is a 25-year-old who was raised on a blueberry farm. Blueberries are delicious, so. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it there because I gotta go get ready for the Twitch stream. I'm hoping that I will see you guys there tonight live at 6 p.m. Eastern. I think the main things I'm going to be watching for is 1, I'm curious about Carney's French. 2, is Pierre Poilievre going to let his attack dog persona just come out full force, or will he be a little bit restrained? And 3, how will the NDP and Bloc do? Because the reason the Liberals are so high in the polls is because the support for the NDP and, to a lesser extent, but still significant, the Bloc have collapsed, and that those voters have coalesced under the Liberals. So if they do well tonight, could that have an impact on the outcome of the election? We'll see. I'll see you on Twitch, and if not, I'll see you in tomorrow's update. But until then, what do you think of all this?